Hello everyone and welcome to this new series by wargames.id called Path to Conquest. In this series, we're going to take a look at the tale of these four new gamers in wargames.id about our journey with this brand new game. In this series, we're going to be looking at how we're building our armies and what are we and what factions do we play and what we like about the game and what kind of faction do we like. So let's continue.
Hi guys, my name is Steven. I've started playing war games 92, I guess. I went to England, got a brochure from Games Workshop, and was hooked from there. I've played a lot of old games, Old Hammer, 40K, but I really started competitive playing from War Machine. And when that went away a bit, played a little bit of Infinity, Malifaux, Warcaster, but nothing ever caught that epic battle feel of Old Hammer, until now. So that's me.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Daniel. I started playing. I began the hobby from board games, and then someone introduced me into the old Monster Apocalypse. And then from there on, I played a lot of miniature games, but I played a lot of War Machine back in the day. But then again, after a while, the community around here is kind of slowing down. And then I jumped into Song of Ice and Fire, Infinity. And finally, I'm trying to play my second game of Rank and File, which is Conquest. So there's where I get into Conquest.
Hey guys, I'm Kai, and I started wargaming about 2007. At that point, I was playing card games, but then the building where the card game store was in also had a war game store, which was run by Steven. And, you know, I saw it, never saw that before. I was super blown away by all these cool things. It started with Warhammer Fantasy, and eventually I started working there, so I got to try all these different games from Warhammer Fantasy, 40K, War Machine, and so many other games in between. And, well, I brought in Evan, who is my card gaming buddy, and he started playing with me. And we've been wargaming ever since, you know. And we've played Sif and Infinity lately. And then we found Conquest through a mutual friend. And I saw that they had orcs riding dinosaurs, which are two things that I really love. And I can't say no to this game now, you know. So yeah, that's how it all started.
Hi guys, this is vanvan. So I've been playing war games, actually not that starting quite a while ago, but I haven't been playing for maybe 5 or 6 years before sort of the war game craze was back in here in Indonesia. Started back when playing Monster Apocalypse, now playing basically Sif also sort of competitively, and started making contents also for Sif in his channel. Conquest is really an interesting game for me because it combines a lot of good things about rank and file games, and it has that sort of tactical feel and sort of that epic feel that I think a few other war games currently don't have. Especially right now we're playing things like Infinity, which is a skirmish-based war game. So I'm expecting a lot of good things about this game, and I'm very excited to play this game. So in this next segment, we're going to be talking about what kind of armies do we want to play. So it happens that all of us have 4 different factions that we'd like to play, and all of them for many different reasons why we choose each of those factions. So we'd like to take a bit to sort of introduce why we like to play these factions and show you guys how.
So for me, I chose the 100 Kingdoms. Why? Because I tend to gravitate toward the good guy faction. I'm doing air quotes that you can't see. Awesome podcasting here. So yeah, I chose the good guy faction, but also as a continuation of my Old Hammer army, which were the Dogs of War. Kai must remember this. I made a mix and match of different units and counts as, for example, heavy cavalry. I took some ogres and whatnot, but the 100 Kingdoms for me just fit that bill perfectly. They're the normal Joes, just some dude given a sword, a little bit of training, and then sent off to fight that abomination rampaging through his village. It's just brilliant.
Or you just like the underpowered faction, Steven.
Oh yeah, it's underpowered right now, but you know, they promised buffs.
So
but you always pick
let
the
me step
underpowered
in
faction.
for a moment here. And when Steven said he liked the Dogs of War and he made a whole army, it's because Steven is so old. He has models that no longer have rules, right? And like, what do I do with this? Like, this faction.
I hate you guys so much.
This faction was they canceled this faction before most of these guys were even born, right? So you have to do something with these models. They still had lead. They can give you poison. They can give you poisoning if you play with them, and so nobody else has that kind of model back then.
True, but it's a management kind of thing, you know. Because if wifey sees the models just standing there in the cupboard, you know, in the display case, she'd probably start wondering. So if I take them out once in a while, it's good. Anyway, the 100 Kingdoms. Okay. So the army I'm building towards is an army that is based on a mercenary general. So apparently the 100 Kingdoms, they're fractured. They have no king. And so these little lordlings started their own kingdoms, which is just brilliant for a mercenary army to go from one place to another. And it would explain why today I'm fighting against Nords, and then tomorrow I'm fighting against, I don't know, Spire, because they don't usually mix. Or even the orcs on dinos. That's even farther. But because I'm a mercenary general, I'm just telling the story of him going from client to client. So it's perfect. I bought, I made the army list in a little bit in accordance to what I can buy, like the starter and then the warband box. And then from there, I'll start buying individual boxes. Also, I'm trying very hard to buy what I can paint. And that was my number one promise to myself, which I completely automatically broke the second day when I bought the household guard unit. They're just so good. They're just so good.
Why can't you? You said what's wrong with those units? Well, why can't you paint them? Because there's a lot of them.
Yeah. It does take time to paint them. It does. Take time. And you know, I tend to like painting them because they're just so. They're okay. Not to sound wrong, but they're just so big. Wow.
Okay.
See, this is why I hate you guys.
Sure. Hey, you started it. You're the one saying it.
No, because I hear myself saying it in my head, and I know there's going to be laughter. But that's my chosen faction, the 100 Kingdoms. And
so why do you so you what do you call yourself as a gamer then? Do you pick your 100 Kingdom based on like the story, or do you pick them based on the models, or do you pick them because they're like the underdogs and sort of like, you know, the whipping boy of like the settings?
Okay, so when I chose this army, this faction, I did not know that the 100 Kingdoms were the underdogs. I chose purely based on looks and the continuation of that old army, because this game it captures that epic feeling of Old Hammer, and I love that. But I do love the competitive setting now, ever since War Machine. So I am super happy also that this game is made for a competitive setting. Now, what makes me sad is that I'm an underdog, but it also gives me many, many reasons to say why I lost. You know, perfect. That's my thinking. Oh,
okay. Yeah. Another thing. Steven's the most vanilla guy I know. So his favorite superhero is Captain America, and and he just picks like the most vanilla white bread thing that you could possibly throw at him. So when I saw that, 100 Kingdom, Jesus, Steven's gonna play this faction, and he did. So You play Marvel.
Steven, do you have any Ultramarines?
Yes, I do.
Oh my god.
Score!
They're on to me.
That's you.
I gotta change up my gameplay.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. It's okay. You're a vanilla guy. Nothing wrong with being vanilla, Steven.
I'm vanilla guy.
All right,
Yeah.
so we got
Red.
our first identity of the first gamer, Steven, the vanilla player.
Ouch.
So the faction that I'm playing is Dweghom, and the reason why I picked that faction, well, the reason I always start on my factions is always because I like how the model looks, because it's very important for me, because I'm going to paint them, and if I have to paint them, but I don't like the models, it will be very painful for me to paint. But when I'm playing the game, I suddenly switched. So I start the game by picking the factions that I like the looks a lot. How do you call it? I picked the factions that aesthetically very appealing for me. But then when I play to win. Like I really like to win. I'm that kind of competitive guy. I know you're starting to me. So models that I like the most. I like the look. The aesthetically I like the most. It's not equal to the one that I can play or the one that have good standing in the power level. So sometimes I end up with factions that are in the bottom area of the power level. So it's like a lower tier, and I will end up being salty. So that's where all my salt comes from, I think. And that's how I end up playing Baratheon for Sif. But I'm glad to know that Dweghom is not in the bottom tier. I think people been saying that they are quite good. So that's that. I think I'm quite happy with my selection of Dweghom. And then I get into the stories, the lore of the Dweghom, and I see a lot of myself in the faction. I don't think this is time yet to talk about the factions, or is it time yet, Evan?
Oh yeah, go for it. I mean, I'm interested to see like what does what makes you resonate with Dweghom being
I'm curious too. I heard they were psychos. So
right.
Let's see where this goes.
They're kind of psychos. All right. So basically, they have this their main drive. The Dweghom's main drive is self-worth, and self-worth is gained from doing something that is worthy to the faction as a whole, to the clan. And if you don't do anything worthy enough, then you have no worth. And if you have no worth, you're exiled. You given the worst job in the clan and everything and such. They are so damn competitive, and they are. They think the only thing they think is to gain more worth. They call it AGM. I don't know how to spell it. It's AGHM. I think it's called AGM, but correct me if I'm wrong. So that's the thing that they revolve a lot in their life. They need more AGM.
So are you saying that?
So
Dweghom
can
is
you
a
see
race
how
of
it
Kyasus?
resonates with me?
So are you saying that Dweghom is a race of Kyasus people?
Yeah.
No, but I understand. I understand where you're coming from, because Daniel is the only player I know who, after a game where he lost, he would have trouble sleeping.
Yeah. I used to do that. It's getting better lately.
Not weird at all.
You know, with
weird.
kids, with good kids around, you know. Yeah, that's why after I read about Dweghom and oh shit, these are very competitive bunch, and I think I can start to see. I start to appreciate their culture, and I like it.
So basically, the Dweghoms are Asian families.
God, that resonates with all of us here.
That's really true.
Yeah, that's why all of you resonate with it.
You know, I'm beginning to read the novels from the Dweghom is exactly what you said, Kai, because the family is being is being it's like saying to this main character, when will you have your worth? When will you do this? When will you do that? What
Oh
the
my
hell?
god. I'm getting
okay.
flashbacks.
Yeah. It's basically Chinese New Year's for everyone every day, or
Baran, right?
or Lebaran, or any Asian
Or any,
family
any,
gathering,
any family gathering for Asians, yeah.
or Sundays, you know.
So Daniel, tell us about the list that
Nah.
you're building.
My list. Been testing this game for a few games with vanvan here. Haven't had the chance to play with Guy and Steven yet, but I'm beginning to get the sense that playing heavy units is kind of hard because they arrive a lot later in the game, and even that is not really reliable because you have to roll a die. So lately, my list is leaning towards the light and heavy. So I'm using two heroes. I'm using the Hold Ray because I really like the sheer hitting power of that hero. And the second one is the Tempered Sorcerer, the one with Fireball and Flame Walls. I have 6 stands of Flame Berserkers. I have 6 stands of Hold Warriors. I have 3 stands of Balliste and 3 stands of the what's the brute name? Automata, the Inferno Automaton. So that's my list. I think you can always you can immediately see I don't bring any Ardent Caraway, but I have the Flame Berserkers. That's because for the Hold Ray I have the Eccentric, so I can bring any unit in the faction. So that's the list that I'm trying to test for now.
Flame Berserkers is kind of nuts, so.
Yeah, I think that's the best unit in the light regiments for Dwekom right now. It's crazy.
I tend to have a very specific taste when I pick factions. I've been an athlete all my life. I've been a martial artist all my life, so I tend to pick factions that looks like they're tough people. That they're buff and they're shirtless. That's basically what I go for, right? Yeah, right. I played the Dothraki before that, and Morad. So there's a very specific aesthetic. And I saw the Wadrun, and I thought, oh, okay, these are orcs. They all look big and tough, but I like that they're not the stereotypical fantasy orcs that's described by most other IP. They're not a bunch of stupid green skin thing that just wants to punch people in the face randomly. There's a complex story behind them, and they're pretty much the victim here. They're the underdog, I would say, because they're the youngest nation of all the other people in the setting. And so they're still trying to find their place in the world. They're still struggling after being enslaved by the Spires, and I kind of dig the underdog feel of it. So that's what gravitated me towards it. Plus dinosaurs, I can't say no to dinosaurs. So because of that, I bought the starter, which hasn't arrived yet because it just came out. So I'm waiting every day for it to come out because I get a lot of jealousy watching all the other guys like, oh, we already played, we already painted, and I'm a terrible painter, but I do look forward to painting these guys. So yeah.
Oh, there's always Steven for your painting needs.
No, I have to start doing my own army. I can't rely on Steven for everything.
Well, to be fair, I've seen your work, and it has grown. Your painting skills have grown, and it's going to be awesome when the orcs with feathers come.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go full Mardi Gras. But the thing is, when he's being nice because the only thing I've painted are naked zombies lately. So it's just it's not the hardest thing to paint. I just like slather like flesh color and then wash it, and that's it. So he's being nice here. But luckily, I do, because we have more stores now around in this area. I am able to get more paint, more colors, more supplies, and that makes painting a lot easier.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
true.
the second I saw the Woodrune's artworks, I immediately knows that this is your faction, Kai.
Yeah. It was
Bunch of
pretty
dudes
obvious.
with bare chest, with all the muscles. Oh, it's you, man.
Yeah.
All the tribal aesthetic. It's very primal. That tends to be what I like from faction. Like factions with a certain primal element to it. You don't get much more primal than Tyrannosaurus Rex. So, and because of that, I do want to get the dinosaurs, but I don't think they're going to be out for a while other than the raptors, right? So because of that, my plan is to just get the warbred, which are the brute units from the Wadroon. They hit really hard, and they're tough. They're hard to kill. They're basically powerhouses, and they have a pretty edgy story to them that kind of makes you go, damn, because they say all warbreds are born killers. And I thought, oh, okay, that sounds cool. Why? And then the book says because they're so big, when they come out of their mother explodes and dies, so they basically come into the world as killers. That was a bit too much for me. That was a bit much for me. That was a bit
Too much
for me.
details.
I know. So they're like, every warbred feels guilty because they know, like, oh shit, I killed my mom, and then that's just a little bit much for me. But yeah.
I mean, I think the whole setting in general is very sort of edgy to some extent. I mean, coming from Wardrune being sort of like the creation of the Spires, and you got also like Legholm, which is initially they killed dragons, if I'm not mistaken, right? And or no, they killed the original race of dwarfs. The story, the setting of Conquest is pretty edgy.
But that's the thing I love. It has a story. It gets you involved. It was also the thing that captured me way back in the old days of starting games like this. There's fluff. There's background. There's a reason for the world to be, and of course the edgy stuff.
There's also the whole living world thing, right? Where you can kind of guide where the storyline goes, which Games Workshop did, but only to a certain extent way back with the campaigns, Storm of Chaos.
Stormfront? Storm of Chaos. Yeah,
Storm of Chaos. Stormfront is a whole different thing.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna try and get as many warbred as I can. Of course, after trying a few times, I think I might see. I'll decide if that's a good idea or not. But my current the list that I'm building towards is led by a chieftain. Again, the unit's not out yet, but I can probably just convert one of the scions because I'll have two of those. He'll be bringing 2 warbred units, a unit of braves, a unit of blooded, and the other hero will be the predator because I really love the look of him. And he'll be leading a unit of hunters, which coincidentally is my favorite unit out of the starter box. Not just because they look great, they have all these feathers and spears, but I just really like the idea of these orc hunters throwing javelins at monsters, and they get bonus damage if you're attacking the big guys. I thought that was very fluffy for a race that is centered around hunting big monsters.
Oh, nice.
I really like they add dinosaurs into the game. I don't think there's any game with dinosaurs in it lately.
What are you talking about? Oh, lately. Yeah, lately, no.
Lately?
No. Age of Sigmar does have, but I guess that's old models, really.
Oh, the lizard.
That's big lizard. Those are lizards, not dinos.
Are they still called lizardmen? They're not lizardmen, are they?
No. They're called seraph. They're called something else. They're called seraphons. Nobody really knows why, but there must be a reason.
Yeah.
Copyright reasons, probably.
Yeah. I am, however, worried that I will need new storages because the dinosaur models look so big. the Tontor, which is the Brachiosaurus looking one, it takes 2 monster bases because it's so big. It's 2 monster bases. No, I'm not kidding you. It's 2 monster bases. 2 monster bases stuck together.
Oh my god!
That's why. Yes, that's why it has 24 wounds.
I can't imagine how much it will cost.
Wow!
If it's resin, I'm gonna pick a different faction. Because I might as well buy a car.
No. But the Drake, the Dwecom Drake, it's one monster trail, right? Like Abomination, and it will cost me around like 3, I guess, rupias.
3 what?
It's
3
quite
million?
expensive.
3 million rupees.
2.3.
Sorry,
Is it resin?
2.3.
2.3.
2.3. Oh my god, it's almost as expensive as a starter.
I think, yeah. I might be wrong though, but I'll get back to you. But it's around that number. It's very expensive. It's a big model though.
I can believe it. It does look awesome though.
I think like one of the most expensive units.
It does look awesome.
The bow chosen, right? Because it's all resin. It's a 3 stand 12 unit worth of resin.
I forgot if it's the bow chosen or the other guy, but they do have bows. Yeah, I remember that one. It's randomly expensive and you wouldn't understand until you realize, for whatever reason, that unit is resin. Everything else is plastic.
God gave you 2 livers for a reason.
Yes.
Livers?
Kidneys. Sorry, livers.
After this.
What am I saying?
You're not a space marine, Steven.
What kind of school did you went to?
Obviously not biology.
So compared to all my other gamers here, I don't really have a strong reason to pick Spire. I looked initially when I think Kai showed me like Conquest, and they're like trying to get me interested to play the game. I look at the Spire and go, yeah, not really. Like they don't look too aesthetically pleasing to me. But then probably the only unit that I found interesting in Spire was the Avatar. I think that one unit alone brought me to Spire because I think they look one of the coolest models in Spire, and I was immediately drawn to it, and then I began looking at Spire, and then I began watching battle reports, and I'm like, all right, apparently Spire is one of the top dogs. So immediately that got my attention. So a bit of a funny story when doing this. I always randomly pick factions that are good, even though I don't know that they're good initially. Like when I first started Civ, I played Lannister. I didn't know I like Lannister because they're awesome, but then I realized they're actually like a tier 1 faction before all of the weird things that happens with Treefolk and Stark. Also things like Signar. I picked Signar because I like gun mages, and then apparently Signar was top tier back at the time. So there was these sequences of things where I just picked factions because I kind of looked at how cool it is, and apparently they were tier 1. So there it goes with Spire. So the reason so Spire itself, as after reading throughout all the stories, I find the stories to be, again, number 1, super edgy, and number 2, super cool. So you have factions like the humans, you have factions like the orcs, you have factions like the Nords and like the Dweghom, which is like the dwarf, and then you have space elf faction. The weirdest one out there aesthetically speaking.
Dwarfs.
And story wise, they literally came from a different setting. They come from outer space, from a different universe even, and then they basically terraform the world, and they made this thing called the Spire, and they're sort of like the main evil faction of the game because they're sort of the invader of this world called Ea. And as usual, I'm playing the evil faction in this type of game, so then we play the Spire. There are some aesthetics in Spire that I like, things like Marksman Clone. They have this very Japanese aesthetic faction. The Avatar also looks like Japanese dolls and onis, and then you have things like the clones, which look like BDSM guys.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you haven't figured it out, Evan's a weeb.
not as much as Daniel.
The Avatar is the...
You're both weebs.
Oh,
You're just
yeah,
very
yeah.
different kind of weebs.
Power gamer.
I like the avatar because it looks like a giant kabuki, but not the other things. I won't play anything that like looks like meat on bandages. No.
Also, like
I like my armors, please.
Also, like probably the other reason why I pick Spire is because I think I know that my girlfriend will enjoy painting them. Because they have a very sort of Dark Souls aesthetics to them. Like they're very.
It's very Dark Souls.
Yeah, they're very dark. They have all these sort of bandages, things like they look very cool. They look very dark. So the girlfriend has a very good style when it comes to those, and I think that's also part of the reason why I pick Spires. And for the list that I'm building for Spire, it went through a couple of iterations. I think as part of my typical way of building a list, I do a lot of research in seeing what is good and what is not good. And apparently, all the guys in Discord told me to bring a 10 block of force-grown drones. Just put 10 units of force-grown drones to the front, put a unit of Biomancer in it, and you just spam it like a heal bot. And then to back those up, I got a unit of marksman clones in the back to sort of act as a pincushion to the guys in front. And then of course I brought Avatara because God, they look gorgeous. Like seriously, I think the only reason I pick Spire is because of Avatara. They're so freaking cool, and if possible, I would bring them in every list that I have.
And you painted them amazingly because of the reasons you just said, because you like them so much.
I think that's his girlfriend.
Yep. So the Avatara is painted by the girlfriend, as well as the brute drones, but everything else is I painted, including
the drones. Those were the ones you painted.
If they look like something out of Dark Souls, then the girlfriend painted it. If it looked like something out of a BDSM catalog, then vanvan painted it. That's how you tell it apart.
Look, if you look at their official color scheme, they're wearing tights. They're wearing tights. They're wearing tight bodysuits, and I'm like, no, they're not wearing tight bodysuits. So I made them into skin colored, but then after I painted them, they kind of look like BDSM enthusiasts. So
yeah, they do.
So I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place here.
We're not kink shaming you. I mean, Steven's the vanilla guy. You're clearly the kinky guy. So it works out.
And Kai's the primal guy. He likes naked men. He likes naked men. So.
Okay.
I'm definitely the gay one. They're all
big buff men. Yes, please.
They're all big shirtless buff men. Every army I play.
Oh man. Hey Kai, Steven, you haven't faced that 10 trays of a force-grown drones with a Biomancer yet. But I'm telling you guys, be prepared, man. Bring a lot of guns, please.
I did play against it in TTS, but the Wadrone isn't out. So for my tutorial, I had to use 100 Kingdom, and I did win that game by ignoring them. So I just circled around it, but mostly I won because there was a lake in the middle, and at that point we haven't really figured out like what's the worst that can happen if you put your unit in a lake. Apparently, a lot of really bad things can happen.
So it's easy.
So what happened?
Just choose a lake to fight on.
I put my archers. What's the militia archers? Militia bowmen, is it?
Militia bowmen.
Militia bowmen. I put them behind the lake, and Evan saw them, and he had an abomination, and he figured, hey, I can get to them. But apparently, the abomination isn't that scary, especially if you put him in a lake, because he's not that accurate, and the lake will reduce their stats even. Yeah, so. It had a lot of trouble just killing like a small blocks of archer while I was scoring elsewhere. So after that, we learned that water bad.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's interesting because the game with Evan yesterday, it's basically I think the other way around.
You got into the water.
No. I faced you ignored the force-grown drones, but I hit him head on with 6 berserkers and my hold ray. The hold ray and the flame berserkers succeeded in destroying them, but they also died. And then Evan wins in by points. So basically, I don't ignore them, and Evan got all the points.
But that's a good sign for me about a game where you can destroy their biggest unit and still lose if you're not in the right position. So it shows that there's thought to be put instead of just like throwing things at each other. And while I do think that compared to some of the other games that we've played, Conquest is more simple, the fundamental strategy is definitely there, and especially with the way that you have to stack your deck, you have to kind of anticipate what the enemy will do first, right? So the game is a lot deeper than it looks, I would say, after just playing one game.
There's definitely a lot of tactical elements in this game because I think, well, we're used to playing things like Civ where we sort of, there is always the correct activation order because we looked at like, you know, what has activated, what has not been activated, and then we make a decision based on that. But I think this game sort of correctly replicates what would happen in an actual battlefield, right? You know, you gave your orders at the start of, you know, the round or whatever, but then, you know, things doesn't go your way, so you go, well, you know, I have to sort of, you know, adapt to the plan that I think would have happened. So this game represented that in sort of the way that we designed the deck at the start of the activation instead of during the activation, because we don't know, it's a battlefield. Like for example, yesterday my game against Daniel again, we had a position where, you know, his berserker could charge first or my force grown drone can charge first. And, you know, I just have to think, you know, if I get to charge first, that means I don't get to heal. But if Daniel gets to charge first, then, you know, I have to think of ways to sort of, you know, heal them. So there was a bit of a, you know, 50-50 chance that things might work out the way that, you know, Daniel wanted and things work out the way that I wanted. So it's definitely something interesting and definitely something to sort of get your head into it.
So one thing that this is probably a hit or miss for a lot of people, is that your unit you don't start with all your units on the battlefield, right? You start maybe with a few of your light units, followed by your medium units, followed by your heavy units, and that's also a very different format than what we're used to. We're used to playing games where all your guys are already on the battlefield. You can form a formation immediately, and because of that, most games they end up. The result is almost always the same thing. You always play it the same way. But now you kind of have to adapt with every game because you don't know which of your units going to come out first, which of your opponent's units is going to activate first. And that's a different challenge, and I think an interesting one to learn. I know Daniel is a bit iffy on that, especially because he plays a really slow faction. So I know he's been salty about it. If he misses his reinforcement roll, he gets really salty.
Yeah, but that's why I chose for my warlord the Imperial officer, because he can affect the deck and somewhat affect who comes in when.
That's powerful.
Yeah,
Some factions have that, yeah.
Nord
does not.
Nord has that supremacy ability where all your reinforcements get pushed back like a turn or something.
Yeah,
that can be crippling.
Yeah, as if it's not difficult enough to figure all these things out. Apparently, the Wadroon also has a mini game that you have to play. So basically, they're a very musical race. Music and song is a big part of these dinosaur riding orcs. So there's a mini game where you have to collect notes and form a song. And depend on what the notes are, you can play different songs, and different songs give you different buffs. So it sounds like it's going to be a hassle to learn, but they can be pretty powerful. So I'm looking forward to trying it. If only my stuff gets
it's
here
something
early.
Different.
Yeah. Apparently,
and something fresh.
Yeah, no other faction has that though. So this is a faction-specific mechanic, which you see in a lot of games, but it's normally not as early as this, because this is just the fourth faction, fifth faction. So yeah, and they still have a lot of factions coming too.
Steven, what's that weapon in Monster Hunter where you use the music to buff things?
Oh, hunting horn.
Hunting horn.
Yes.
Hunting horn. That's so
yeah.
true.
Yes. And you whack people with it. So yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just.
So yeah, I think you're right about the reinforcement roll. I learned how to live with the reinforcement roll by almost not playing heavies at all. I think if you have a good light and medium unit, that's the way to go, man.
Does Dreghom not have that thing, the tactical retinue, where if you raise it to level 3, one of your unit gets flank or something? No, they don't have that?
That's the only way for a Dwegom to be able to affect the reinforcement roll, and it only available for one hero, which is the Ardent Wake. So basically, if you want to do it, you have to do it with this specific hero.
Okay.
Be your warlord, yes?
Yeah, because only supremacy.
No,
Oh no, okay.
I don't think we have to use it as a warlord because it's from the mastery, right? Technical mastery level 3, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So there you have it, guys. We got 4 gamers, experienced gamers here, gonna be moving into the world of Conquest. So what's going to happen is that we're going to have some updates about what are the factions that we're playing, including updates to the hobby aspect. I know Steven and Daniel here are amazing painters, and I can't wait to show you guys what they have been painting, and how Daniel is magnetizing all his models, and that's really cool. So we're gonna have an update on like the hobby aspect after this, and by the end of the month, hopefully we're gonna have some battle reports. So all 4 of us gonna have 1500 army hopefully, and we're gonna have some battle reports. So stay tuned to the channel. Please leave like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.